everyone, Miss Art Garden here, and today I'm going to go through how to draw a face if you are like an absolute beginner and you're worried and you don't know how to tackle it. Before we begin, a few tips if you want to learn to draw really fast is to practice your shapes. So you're going to want to know how to be able to draw a circle, and then you can draw triangles and squares and rectangles and whatever other shapes you want, but mostly circles. And the point of that is that you get a little bit better at drawing guides, and then you get a little bit better at drawing freehand faces and bodies and stuff. So speaking of, to start the face, draw some guidelines. And to do that, start with a circle. So I'm just going to draw my circle like that. Wherever you draw your vertical guideline is basically where the center of the face is going to be. So if you wanted to draw a portrait that was head on, you'd want to draw it right down the middle of your circle. But we're going to draw a little bit over to the side today. So we're going to take this line and we're just going to kind of put it down. And what you want to think about when you're drawing this line, you want it a little bit at a curve. I didn't quite nail the curve right here, but you don't want your face to look super flat. And you can be a little bit messy if you want, as long as if you're drawing with pencil, you press lightly, or if you're drawing with a tablet, you'll want to erase some of your mess. And what you want to think about is, it doesn't really matter where the line ends, but usually where the line ends is about where the chin's going to be. So you want to think about the length of your head. So if this was the top, and this will be about where the eye line will be, and then that'll be where the chin ends. It's all just kind of the proportions that you want. I'm not going to teach you like a certain style or anything. These are just kind of learn to draw a face. Okay, so when you're drawing in the horizontal guideline, you're going to want to think, I usually put mine about 2/3 of the way down. Some people put it all the way at 3/4. I usually draw my eyes right under the eye line. So that's partly why I don't go 3/4, I go 2/3. So I'm going to just draw it right across there. Under here is where your eyes will sit. So again, you don't want it like a super straight line. There's a bit of a bend to this one like that if you want. It doesn't have to be exact. You don't have to worry about your guidelines looking perfect. Just the placement is what's really important. And then to finish this off, we're going to do the just block in a shape for the face. So this will go down about here. This one will go down about here. Depending on what style you're drawing, or if you're drawing a male or female, this will go in a little bit more, and this will kind of taper into a bit. And then your jaw line, you can picture about where you want it to be, and that is where you'll come in at the other part of these here. And then you can draw in the chin. So that, like I said, that was about where the end of that was. And you want to think about your jawline. You want them to almost match up, but this one always, I draw it a little bit higher than this one. You can draw them so they match up perfectly if you want. That's just a personal preference. So now we have the guidelines in, and for the purpose of this video, I'm going to now make these a little bit lighter so that when I draw future lines, you won't be confused on what I'm drawing. So don't worry about doing this. Like I said, if you're drawing with pencil, you should be drawing lightly anyways. For this, I'm going to make these a little bit lighter so my future lines will be a little easier to see. So now it's time to draw the features of the face in. And if you've ever seen my Let's Draw, I always start with the eyes. So you want to keep in mind that they're about an eye length apart. I'm just going to put the tops of my eyes in here. And I'm just going to shape them. This is the shape I'm drawing. It goes up a little bit and then down. So you'll just kind of have to figure out what style eye you want to draw. I'm just going to draw on the tops like I said. So keeping it about an eye length apart. So here from this to there. And then I want to draw one over here while making sure that I have the spacing right. So right about here, I'm going to start. There's a little bit of foreshortening, but that'll be about my eye length apart. So right about here, I'm going to start. It's going to go up, and then it'll kind of go down and end over there on that end. And I drew that one a little bit higher than the other one. That's okay. You can just, don't worry about making mistakes. You can just make little adjustments. Like I'm just going to erase that there and draw it down. And then you can see this one is foreshortened even more from that angle. So you can still kind of imagine that it's about an eye length apart. So now let's draw in the bridge of the nose for the next step. And starting about right where this intersects here, a little bit over to the side, you'll start a curved line that'll kind of go in, and then it'll go down like that for the nose. And it'll end right about where this is. That's about where the nose line ends, but I'm not going to go all the way down there because I want a curving line that ends there. And then about 1/3 of the way from the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin, you can put your mouth line. And this will be another preference. And it's also going to depend on like if you want this to be, how wide you want your chins and how big you want your lips. Think about that. And your mouth about ends, the corners of the mouth about ends where the center of the eyes are. So I'm just going to kind of put that in like that so you can see that there. What we're going to do is we're going to give these features a little more detail. So we'll give the eyes a bottom, and I'm going to draw a line that just kind of curves up and meets there. And I'm going to draw a line that kind of goes down here. And these are just styles that I draw. I'm just going to kind of draw in my style for now. And then I usually like to draw kind of like a little bit of thing here. I don't always connect these, but you know, it just kind of worked out that way this time. So then this same thing over here, I'm going to draw the bottom in, and then it'll go up like that. And then the corner of the eye here. And these didn't quite match up, so I'm just going to erase it and kind of move it over a little bit. And then the next detail to the eyes you want to add is a little crease. Almost always there's some kind of crease. I usually just kind of draw a line up and then a line over, or you can just draw a single line up like that. And then you want to draw in your actual iris. I'm going to reshape this a little bit before I do that, just because it's not quite the shape that I want. And then I'm going to draw my iris. Let's have them looking over here now. And that'll just kind of be like they're shyly looking over. So we're just going to draw 2 circles in just like this. And then lastly, we're going to draw on some eyebrows. So the eyebrows usually start like a little bit further over than the corner of the eyes. So right about here. And then they just curve over and they end right about a little bit over the corner of the eye there. So whatever shape you want to draw your eyebrows in, something like that. This one here will start right about where the crease is, because you can't quite go over. Right about where the crease is, and then it'll go over here. And we could just sketch that in like that. And next up, we'll do the nose. I'm going to erase these guidelines a little bit. I've been kind of doing it as I go. You can put these on a new layer if you're working on a computer. For the nose, if you want, you can add a nostril. And, you know, if you want to do the anime style or whatever you want, that's up to you. And then I tend to add a little bit of a detail there and a little bit of a detail there. Totally up to you what you want to do. And then for the mouth, I'm just going to go with a simple kind of cartoony style. I'll draw the upper lip here, and I'll draw the bottom lip like that. And then I'm going to actually change this mouth line. I think it looks better when the lip has a little bit of dip there. And then there's a kind of a corner of the mouth detail. I like add a little flare there. So that looks a little bit more like a mouth. Okay, so we've detailed in this face. The next thing to do is kind of refine it. So what I'm going to do is kind of following my guidelines, I'm going to kind of rework the shape. So over here, kind of by the eye area, there's a little curve that goes out like that. And then it goes in where the eye is, and then it kind of comes out. And then you're going to have to decide how you want your cheekbones. Since this is a guy, he'll have kind of high cheekbones that then just go down like that. And you can erase this line if you want to see a little bit more of the shape. This was the corner of the jaw, so I'm going to just have a little bit of an outward dip here. And then it'll go down, and we'll have the jaw go like that. And then we'll have it go up. That was pretty good, I think, on the guide, so I'll just kind of follow that more or less. And I'm actually going to have it go a little bit further and then down like that. So he has a nice wide set jaw. He looks a little bit more masculine. And then afterwards, if there's any little things you want, like maybe I'll move that down just a little touch more, like that. So now where we want the ears to go is right where the top of the eye is where the ear starts, and that's the curve. And then right at the bottom of the nose is where the ear stops. So from there to there, and just kind of to the side, you'll want to start, we're going to draw this up like that, and then it's going to go down, and it's going to kind of taper in a little bit right there. Okay, I'm going to erase some of these guidelines. And then I'm going to take another line for detail right there to show the kind of curl shell of the ear. And then we'll do a little bit here to kind of show that, I don't know what that's called, the little flap of skin that protects the ear canal. And then I usually just draw 2 lines like that to just kind of represent the rest of the ear. Okay, so that is about it for the face. You can add a few details if you wanted to know where the neck is. It's right about where the jaw line ends over here. And a little bit here, just kind of depending on where you want it to be thick-wise. You can draw the neck a little bit behind the ear from this angle even if you want. But it's generally where the jaw is where the neck starts. And then, you know, guys would have a little bit of lines there for the jugular maybe. And that is basically it for the face. You can draw in some hair, you can draw in some clothes, whatever you want. Hopefully you found this tutorial useful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.